For those of you who are taking Thesis Seminar, wanted to spend a few minutes recapping week 9 based on some of the discussions that we were having. The first thing I want to mention here is just as a reminder, a lot of our conversations evolved around the conversation of triangulation, making sure that you are combining observations, interviews, and documents. Also, make sure that you're combining or connecting ideas from within the same data sources. So, for example, when you have interviews, you might have an initial interview. Maybe you had an interview before or after some of your classroom observations, and you're likely to have probably an interview at the very end of your data collection process. So you could also connect what the teacher said at the beginning and during the data collection process, as well as at the end, to see what you find. We talked also this week about the importance of aligning your research questions, key concepts taken from the literature review as they pertain to what you've collected, information that you've observed, things that you talked about with some of your participants. We want to make sure that we're consistently aligning this with our literature review. Some of the things we talked about was going through and drawing out or extracting some of the key terms or concepts, or maybe even the examples taken from the body paragraphs. So you might either make a note to yourself from that list, from that analysis, taking a look at each of those body paragraphs as you are reminding yourself, again, this is what you're looking for when you're collecting your data. You're observing both things that are happening and things that are not happening as it relates to these key concepts. Make sure you're very strategic in the way that you collect your data. Make sure that every interview has a guide. Every interview has notes taken from that, and you're analyzing that information. Making sure that all of your interviews, classroom observations are recorded, preferably video, but at least audio. Make sure that you are flexible in the way that you're collecting and analyzing and adapting your information. Some of our conversations evolved around the importance of separating the observation process with the analysis. When you're observing classrooms, for example, you're mainly focusing on observing what you see, certain behaviors. What are your participants saying? What are your participants doing? And then as a separate process, when you finish that classroom observation, then you go into analyzing, looking to see how it answers your research questions and making notes to yourself in terms of maybe questions that you ask in subsequent interviews, maybe some things that you're going to be focusing on in subsequent observations. Make sure that you are taking into consideration the time that we have to complete the rest of our data collection process. Remember, our goal is to complete our data collection process by April 16th. At this point, today's March 30th, so we basically have 2 more weeks to complete our data analysis, so take that into consideration. Some of our conversations evolved around making sure that you are adding your instruments to your shared Word Online document in Microsoft Teams. And that is going to be something that we can take a look at whenever we discuss in our tutoring sessions how you are collecting your data, looking at your instruments that you've uploaded to the Word document, and of course, looking at any instruments that you haven't applied. We can look at those within our tutoring sessions, or of course, you can reach out to me if you want me to look at something outside of our tutoring session. So just as a reminder, our next whole group session will be April 16th, 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll be in room 7 in module 3 in the language department building. And we'll be talking about coding. We'll be looking at different ways and strategies that you can go about analyzing all of the data sources that you have collected. So this has been a brief overview of week 9 for Thesis Seminar. I would encourage you to take a look at the notes page that I've included here for further detail. And again, just a summary of what we've been looking at. So I guess we'll stop there for today. Make sure you continue to reach out to me if you do have any questions or any challenges, anything comes up that you are in question about. Make sure you reach out to me and we can discuss it. Otherwise, we'll see everybody in your next tutoring session.